Now, do you think that is so? I'm reading this book called Final Judgment, and it's basically about the role of Israel in the assassination of JFK, and it's very interesting. And there was a whole part where what JFK really basically wanted was to have Israel become the 51st state, and just and I've always said this, and Johnny pushes back on it a little bit, but it is called the state of Israel, which to me is kind of interesting for
Right, but
sure.
you think that means that it's literally a state, right?
Well, I find it to be very interesting. You go, is Israel a state of the United States? Is the United States under control of Israel? And I would just say that's probably at the highest levels, these, bankers that own both of them. If you were going to say, Sam, what do you think Israel is really about? I think Israel obviously is a holy land for all the Abrahamic religions, of course, but it's also a very, very powerful trade route that is the quickest way to get goods from Asia and Africa into Europe. And right now they have to use the Suez Canal, which is kind of janky because it's like one way there, and then then for 12 hours it's one way back. And Israel wanted to make a canal that goes right through Gaza that is both ways at the same time, which is quicker, more efficient. And
by the way, that's the map that Netanyahu held up in front of the UN like 12 days before October 7th. It's a map where he basically put that line across it, the canal you're talking about, and there is no Palestine on that map. He has literally erased Palestine, Gaza, West Bank from the map.
And
can I just say too, you got the state of Kuwait, the state of Qatar, the state of Palestine. So there are other countries with that name.
All right, I'm not getting. I've never heard that, but that's fine. I'll accept that. And but that just to me, it's like who's running? It's like in Mad Max in the Terror Dome, like Master Blaster. Who is Master and who is Blaster?
Well, to me, what answers that question is it is these billionaires, and perhaps one of the best examples is Sheldon Adelson, who's now dead, but his wife continues to do his work. Sheldon Adelson founded and owns the most read newspaper in Israel. So he is the biggest propagandist in Israel. He also, owns newspapers in the U.S., owns obviously casinos, huge, massive billionaire, largest donor when he was alive to Donald Trump, giving $100 million himself to Donald Trump. So he's kind of owning the U.S. system and the Israeli system at the same time. And that's how you end up with I don't know who's controlling who. Well, it's these billionaires that are controlling really both.
Its role in basically funding almost everything that everybody despises going on in the United States. And I would tell you that these massive aid bills that get sent to Israel, a big chunk of that money gets probably sent right back to AIPAC, which they use to influence our government and buy off these politicians. And I think it's just, the Fed funny money, which is now backed by nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they'll just believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, for those who, only believe things coming out of the New York Times, et cetera, the New York Times has run an article on how Israel knew about the plans for October 7th a year in advance, like detailed plans a year in advance. So that's even the New York Times. Now, that was one article and they, hide it behind 1,000 others. But I'm just saying, that's even gotten into the liberal media that Israel knew about this. There were training videos with the hang gliders and stuff that were posted on Instagram and shit. This was not a secret.